On January 8, 1935, the Oakland Tribune had this article. Archer Seeks Wilder Quarry by Nancy Barr Mavetti. George R. Johnson, to meet him in his office, looks the busy and cheerful president of an insurance brokerage company. But he nourishes a secret sorrow, an unfulfilled ambition. That ambition is to kill a wild boar with a bow and arrow, and he will never be happy until he gets it. For many years, Johnson has been an enthusiastic big game hunter and explorer. As to the bow and arrow, it is not so much a return to the primitive as a search for better thrills than shooting can give. 3 years ago, he got his bear with a bow and arrow in the Oregon wilds. For the wild boar, he will have to go all the way to Mexico. But what's a little trip to Mexico for a man in the grip of a hobby? It is the unexpected that makes big game hunting exciting, the Oakland Explorer businessman said today. For example, a few years ago I was hunting mountain goats in Idaho. I wounded my quarry with my last shell, but did not kill it. There was nothing for it but to try conclusions with the goat with my bare hands. I tried to use the bulldogging technique of the rodeos, but that goat was very nearly too much for me. We wrestled for an hour and a half before I finally conquered him, and I was very nearly exhausted by the struggle before it was over. Being lost 2 nights in the snow at a temperature of 10 degrees below zero is just a little incident to Johnson. His real major thrill, he declares, was a hand-to-hand encounter with a boa constrictor on his last trip to Mexico. When I come back from one of my trips, I tell my wife my bits of adventure, and sometimes she has smiled a very taunting, skeptical smile. So this time I resolved to bring back evidence. I had a companion with me and a motion picture camera, and when I went into the clinch with that 12-foot snake, my friend hopped backward to give us plenty of clearance. But he remembered to grind out the film. Now at least nobody can say, "That's your story and you're stuck with it." Johnson related some of his adventures as a big game archer before the 2030 Club today at the luncheon meeting of the Coit Hotel. Another newspaper says, "With bare hands kills a boa. Oakland big game man slays 12-foot snake. No weapon." When his wife showed a tendency to smirk at some of his tales of big game hunting, George R. Johnson, 25 Prospect Road, Piedmont, president of an Oakland insurance company, decided he needed a second. Accordingly, on his last trip to the jungles of southern Mexico, Johnson took along a companion and a movie camera. He was not disappointed. When he went into a bare-handed battle with a 12-foot boa constrictor, his friend was there, discreetly in the background, grinding the camera. It was not Johnson's first bare-handed fight with a wild animal. Speaking at a luncheon of the Oakland 2030 Club, he related how he grappled almost to exhaustion with a wounded mountain goat at close quarters in Idaho. His unfulfilled ambition, he said, is to shoot a wild boar with a bow and arrow, and he is planning another trip to Mexico with that goal.
De la Sierra Morena, cielito gasolina